welcome. It's a pleasure to have you with us today. We would like to give a special thanks to the Commerce Department, the International Trade Administration, Foreign Commercial Service, and the Regional Senior Commercial Officer for the Gulf, based in Abu Dhabi. I myself am Joshua Atkinson. I'm an American, born in Wisconsin, and I've spent the last 12 years overseas in the Gulf region. I've been consulting and working in over 15 different countries in South Asia, the Gulf, and East Africa. During my time overseas, I've helped clients to secure several $100 million worth of contracts, both U.S. defense contractors, U.S. corporations, multinationals, and local SMEs. And my colleague here,
Steven Anderson from Santa Barbara, California. Similar history, just a little longer. I've been here for 31 years outside the United States. First coming to Europe in 1985, and then being involved with the Great Wall coming down in Central and Eastern Europe, as well as Singapore, and now here in the Emirates. And the reason we're having this meeting here today is because we were recently at the United States Embassy. The Commerce Department had a discussion with them with regards to United States trade and business development. And it was quite interesting when we started hearing some of the general gripes from the standpoint of how to increase the development of trade inside the United States for export out. And we were really shocked by the low numbers of companies, on the low numbers of percentages of companies that are actually involved in the export trade. Having said that, we heard that concern, yes, but we, at least myself and yourself, we have been involved on the outside, 31 years, myself having a wide variety of issues that no matter how much export you derive and develop in the United States, you have these issues which we've run into today. Some of these issues, for example, I'll hit them just off the top, very clear. Bribery. There's a big issue in Central East Europe and across many countries in the third world where you can't get a contract unless you're paying someone off. The U.S. takes the moral high ground. That's a fantastic position to have. But when the person that walks in the door after you as an American is a German or an Austrian or a Swede who can write it off on his taxes and goes ahead and gets a contract like that, there's billions lost. We don't say a word to our allies about how this is going on. This has got to stop. You know, we're taking the right position, but they should take the same position as well, so that there's a level playing field. Another problem that I have, I would say, if there's something that is even happening to me right now, contemporarily, and that is I want to work with American companies. I end up working with Chinese half the time. The Chinese will come to a meeting, you know, and they'll sit there and go, oh yes, I'll have the documents and everything ready for you in 2 weeks. I'm thinking that's impossible. It takes 2 weeks for someone to read an email in the United States and to figure out what it is I want to do. In 2 weeks, the person has the banking documents, the government stamp of security saying, yes, we can do this. All the companies, the steel company, this company, that company, all signing off saying, yes, we can supply, we can have this number of employees there to help you out. We'll send the experts within those 2 weeks to go over the entire project in XYZ country. Now, how can you compete with that? Well, you can by doing the exact same thing. If the Chinese can do it, we can do it.
I definitely agree with you, and I'd like to give also a personal example from my own life and testimony. In 2014, one of the meetings that I had with the then ambassador, Gita Pasi, I had sat down with her and we were discussing what was going on with the contracts that I was working and overseeing on the base, at the embassy, and also I had the opportunity to share with her some of my internal passions and yearnings to see an increase in U.S. companies be involved with the mega infrastructure projects overseas. And I gave the examples to her saying that, Ambassador, I have a Chinese company and an African company that have hired me to be their consultants right now on these several $100 million mega projects with the ports, with other infrastructure development, with the railroads, with economic zones, free zones that were being developed, and saying, look, there's over $7 billion of secured FDI in Djibouti right now, and only a small fraction of that is with U.S. companies, and most of that is only inside the U.S. base. And I shared with her as well, because I was overseeing and consulting for some of the projects inside Camp Lemonnier as well, with the BOSS contract and some of the other construction contracts. And I would go to these U.S. defense contractors and say, hey guys, come on, there's over $7 billion worth of opportunities outside the base. I can help connect you, I can help get you involved. And the answer that I would get more often than not was like, we're just focused on this right now, and we don't understand out there. It's, maybe too risky. I said, no, Djibouti is a very safe place. And there's other countries I work with in the region that are very safe, and there's ways of going about protecting yourself, minimizing the risk, and being successful, where you can make higher margins than you would be able to make in the States, and oftentimes in some of these other contracts that you're fighting for a ton of people to try to get. And it was just a time of where I was sharing with the ambassador and then also later the special economic advisors there that I really want to see U.S. companies capitalizing on the opportunities that exist. I really believe that we're only utilizing and capitalizing on a fraction of what is available there. In the U.S. Commerce Department, you and us as the businessmen overseas, we want FDI. We want more U.S. exports going overseas. We want to see U.S. companies investing overseas in positive and low risk but high return projects. And the opportunities are there, but we want to work with the government, we want to work with the multinationals and the businesses to make this a reality.
Yeah, that's exactly. I agree with you. I mean, we both run into the same issues. If there was anything else that I could add, it might be the conduit of information between ourselves and when we come to see someone in U.S. government to discuss these very issues and concerns. I had my own personal issues where I've gone several times, met with senators, gone to see governors, and they're happy to see me. They're happy to talk about Hungary or whatever country I might be in at the time. And of course, they take what I have to say seriously. So they would put in front of me, they said, okay, before we have our meeting, can you talk, to my person who handles the region? And that person is supposed to be, of course, competent and understand the region, because that's the person that later on, when Senator XYZ is going to sit on whatever committee he sits on and make a quick decision with regards to Hungary, as an example, when he has 150 other countries to deal with. They're experts who give them and brief them and tell them what they should be voting for and against. Well, as a good example, I sat there and a person walked into the room and said, well, yes, it's very nice that you come from Hungary. I know the country well. Well, the idea of knowing it well was when she said, yes, I was in Bucharest 4 years before for 2 weeks. Now, how that qualifies as an expert, I'll never know. But, I had to hold back from laughing. The point being is there should be some sort of form of vetting out or having someone who represents a region. That person should have literally spent time over there, not read about it on Wikipedia, not had gone to a geography class and knows where the country is, thank goodness, but has actually been there, been working with, maybe in a commerce department at the U.S. Embassy, something, so that when that person gives an educated answer or gives information to the senator, governor, or whoever, it is a proper and direct and known answer based upon information, gleaned from living outside the United States. That's the only thing I would add to it.
Excellent. Well, in summary, I just want to say thank you for your time, for listening today. Thank you for listening to some of the passions that are on our hearts. We want to extend our hand of service with the expertise and the experience that we have had and shared over these years of working in the Gulf region, working in this hemisphere and this side of the world, to support the U.S. Department of Commerce, to support U.S. multinationals who are looking to develop trade and to expand investment in the region. So we hope that you share our passions as well, and that this will continue a positive upward trend of increased trade and increased opportunities for U.S. companies and the U.S. as a whole in the region. Thank you.
Thank you.